Well, we're starting early.
That was my fault.
If you thought the countdown was going for 3 minutes, Brad made sure it wasn't. But we heard that you guys didn't like the countdown anymore. So, hey, welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show. Happy Monday. Hey, I'm ready. I'm locked and ready to rock and roll here. Hey, guys. Hope you all had a great weekend. Happy Easter. Happy Passover. Happy to everyone that had a great holiday weekend. If you're a sports fan, you're a Baltimore sports fan, you might have some mixed feelings about that because it wasn't a good weekend for Orioles fans, but it was an overall good baseball weekend. We'll get into that. And on our countdown today, we'll have a few topics. One, we're going to talk about the other cool moments from the weekend here. Then we'll talk about that Orioles slow start because they are at 3-6, not where everyone was hoping they would be. Could it be worse? Yes. Is it great? No. We'll discuss that and a whole lot more. And then we'll have Terry Collins, former Mets manager, and probably has the most iconic mic situation of recent memory for umps. You guys know what I'm talking about. Noah Syndergaard throws behind Utley, and you got to give us a chance. Well, Terry Collins is going to join us to catch up and talk about what he is up to in his media space here. And then we'll go around the AL East. There's some other teams that are having success, but it's not the Red Sox. It's not the Blue Jays either. Is it the Rays? We'll find out. There is one team that's off to a great start. We will have poll talk. Brad is going to have a poll for you lovely people. And then there is a little football news, guys. And there was some reports that he wasn't going to show up. Well, guess what? Lamar Jackson's in the building at the Castle in Owings Mills. We'll get to that later on. And then we talked to Austin Hayes, former Oriole, now current Chicago White Sox outfielder. We will preview this White Sox series, and you'll hear some clips from Mr. Austin Hayes later on in this program. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm Ryan Ripken, and to my left is Brad. You heard his laugh. He cut the music.
Yeah, I don't know what I was just trying to pick a different, scene, and then all of a sudden the music cut, and I was like, damn.
Yeah. It's okay.
I'm having a straight hair day. I don't know what's up with that either.
That's it. You kind of have that little like alt rock, punk rock look there.
Little emo going on today.
You do, and the black shirt going with it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Zach's like the complete opposite. It's frat boy Zach. Oh,
yeah. I'm here to bitch. Not gonna lie. I'm bitching today because why is the national championship at 9:00?
Yes.
We were talking about this before. It is my yearly episode
on a Monday.
Yeah, Bali's bitching every year about the same thing. Why is a national championship like I get 8:00?
It's a great
yeah,
time.
I understand that. I do not understand every year they're like, yeah, starting at 8:55, which actually means like 9:15 because 8:50 is when they're going to start the announcements and all of that.
Not to mention, Zach, like any other championship game or series, doesn't matter if it's on the weekend or not, never starts at 9:00 at night.
Never.
Even if it's like the Super Bowl is at 6:30 typically.
Yeah.
The World Series games are around 7, 8 o'clock at night. Like none of them start at 9.
College football, the national championship still starts late. There's still
but scheduled for 8 still.
That's still a 3-hour game that's ending. The college basketball, the finals are going to end at the same time that the college football championship would end.
Yeah.
I still think 7 to 8 range start time
on a
Monday is good. A little earlier is better, but I get it. People are coming off of work and they're trying to get settled. I think 7:30 is actually a pretty good time.
Listen, everybody's settled in bed at 9:00.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like it's in Indianapolis. So it's not like it's West Coast. Like it would make more sense if it was like, oh, well, the game's in LA and they don't want to start the game at 3 p.m. there. Game time, like legit game time is 8:50 for the time zone they're in.
Yeah.
That just what doesn't make sense to me. I feel like you're throwing off the clock of the players big time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess only a couple teams have to deal with this situation because there's only 2 teams left playing for the Natty. So whatever team acclimates and you don't have to be motivated for a national championship game. You shouldn't, and neither should these teams. It's either UConn's going to stay undefeated in national championship games, or we are going to see the Michigan Wolverines be the new champions. If UConn wins, by the way, that'd be a third national championship in 4 years, I believe. Is that number? So talk about a little dynasty action there. Dan Hurley and the boys still going back to that Elite Eight game where they were seconds away from this not happening, and now they're on the doorstep of a dynasty. So should be a hell of a game tonight. We will talk about that tomorrow. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. But guys, let's go into this past weekend because there was a lot of cool moments. And for me, the coolest moment to start might be the photo of the year in all of Major League Baseball. And it was Joe Adell, which not only did he have a great robbery of a home run, he didn't have one, he didn't have two, he had three, and the third one going into the stands might have been the most iconic one of them all. And then him being able to have the ball in his glove and he's just standing up there and there's that behind angle shot of him overlooking the field of play.
Yeah.
Dude, that was something special. That was insane. And I think from a defensive standpoint, for the ones that love WAR, wins above replacement, I think Joe Adell got a 1. Like he got a legit game because he won a game. It was 1-0 was the final. The Angels won that game.
Single-handedly won that game for the entire team.
Insane. I don't know.
Just watching it and then
see that again.
Watching the last play too was just like, holy shit. Can't believe he even caught that. It's like the first two that were back against the wall, still very impressive. Not going to take that away from him. But that last one was just like, God damn, man. Just unbelievable. Although yesterday there was no catching that jack that got hit over the fence. It was very much gone.
I will say though, every cool moment, there's obviously a downside. I have hated the amount of people that come out of the woodwork that just clearly haven't watched baseball that are like, well, it shouldn't count if he doesn't keep it in, like him going over. He caught the ball and flew over. That's an out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm glad that even after they reviewed it, it was seen as an out because that's an out. This is what Derek Jeter pretended he did after he caught a ball, ran 500 yards, and then threw his body into the stands for absolutely no reason. This is how he actually felt. This is the actual greatest catch we've seen. And then this photo. It's one of those photos where, like, this looks AI. Like, there's no reason that this shouldn't be AI. But what makes it so great is that it's not. You're like, he's actually just standing in the middle of the stands. And that, incredible. It genuinely was one of the best catches you'll ever see. Moment included. I mean, it's the 9th inning of a 1-run game. If he misses that, it's a tie ball game. And just absolutely unreal play by Joe Adell. 3 home run robberies in the same game. I don't understand advanced statistics because with the analytics, it was like he didn't get 3 defensive runs saved on that. I was like, I watched 3 runs get saved. Like with my own 2. Yeah, it's like I counted like 3 times the ball was going to go over the fence and he brought it back. I feel like that should be, but that's a whole different argument. Joe Adell, what a freaking moment.
Hell of a moment. And baseball is off to a roaring start for the year. Like it truly is. There's a lot of great momentum, generally speaking. Not saying a specific team or teams, but baseball as a whole, there's a lot of things to love. I mean, you're talking about the Angels here, where a lot of people wanted to talk about, oh, here the Angels are, which, by the way, Mike Trout got hit by a pitch and had to leave the game, which that sucks. And
any updates on that? Is he okay? Is he not okay?
I haven't seen any other updates with that yet. Zach, have you?
I have not. I just hope.
But he leaves the game and you go, damn it. Mike Trout was swinging the bat well. Zach, you said it last week about being a top player.
I feel terrible for that guy.
And Zach had to jinx him. I'll put that on Zach.
Every year.
At this point, it's not even a jinx. It's just what happens. It was like saying the sun's going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
It just.
Water's wet.
Yeah. Like it was fun. Well, that's why I said we had to enjoy it. We had a week. It was fun while it lasted.
It was fun while it lasted. Hopefully the best for Mike Trout. But that was a great moment.
Oh, here we go. Somebody said Trout's x-rays were negative.
Yes. Yes.
So no broken bones.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Zach, you're lucky.
The electric in the air.
Well, hopefully then Mike Trout will be back soon. That was a great moment. Joe Odell, shout out him. Hey, how about another outfielder? It's our boy Seti Mullins, which wasn't necessarily the plays in the outfield, but it was actually the art of a bunt, Brad. I think you're the one that was raving over this. Why don't you set the scene?
Zach and I both.
This?
Yeah. So we always go through, pieces of content that we want to share and everything else. And then Zach had brought up, a bunt. I don't know why the internet loves bunts.
Loves bunts.
Every time we post bunt content, it just does well. I'm here for it, but Zach puts it up, just shares it in our group chat, and this bunt looks awesome. Nope. And then Zach's like, "Holy shit, that's Seti!" And it was like a perfect bunt in the snow. By the way, Cedric Mullins still has wheels.
Yeah,
I mean that guy just got all the way down to first base, easy inside or infield hit. Really well done by Seti. Miss you, buddy.
It was beautiful. And with the snow falling down, it was just the aura.
I mean, look at that. Just
Majestic.
Look at it.
Don't get better than that.
Majestic. Yeah, you can't teach it. The art of bunting, it should never be lost. It wins games. And damn, it's really cool when you have perfect execution.
Yeah.
And actually, if you've seen these moments, right, it matters to have perfect execution. Before we get into about perfect execution and fundamentals, we'll get into that in just a moment. But how about you want to make sure for the last cool moment of the week, we want to make sure we do it right. And typically when you turn 21, you want to celebrate that because that's a cool moment.
Hell yeah.
And down at Nats Park, the Nationals did something I thought was really cool. They brought people that were turning 21. And they said, why don't we have your first sip? It's the 21st year of
the
Nationals ballpark and the team. Why don't you come out and be a part of the first sip, not first pitch?
Brought to you by Budweiser.
Beautiful. Can we show that clip real quick?
Years ago today.
So she comes out here with a Bud Heavy. They bring her out in honor of the 21st, year of the Nationals. Look out. Oh my God. That is the cutest. Look at that fat cheeks. She's super cute.
So from right there, it's the journey. It's the story of a young adult experiencing their first drink and the 21-year-old of the Nationals.
Comes out here, looks all innocent. It's like, here, have your first sip. She looks around, then just takes a sip of that Bud Heavy for about 20 seconds.
Just downs.
Just chugging
that. Ain't a first sip.
There's nothing to first. Which, by the way, in a metal can, that's impressive to chug a metal can or a metal bottle like that. The cans are one thing, probably the easiest thing to chug out of, but the metal bottles.
The hold up there, telltale sign that ain't a first sip. That ain't a first sip.
And just the way she's holding that bottle too. Like you've held beer bottles before.
Yeah, that's just no one just chugs their first sip like that.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been there.
Not at all. But you know what? It's the first sip. We'll keep it that because for me, guys, I didn't touch a sip of alcohol until I was 21.
Sure.
Never did because we're about the book here at the
What was your first drink, Rip? What was your first drink when you were 21?
When I was 21, I think it was a Natty Light.
Ooh.
Like an actual one. Now, I've had one where like, hey, taste this sip of wine, when you're younger.
Yeah.
So I can't remember that, but I do remember Natty Light, and I'm like, this is not the best thing I've had.
Yeah.
But that was all I was going off of.
Well, I mean, it's a Natty Light.
I mean, it's watered down.
And why is it like the first drinks are always like the worst possible drink?
Good question. But the first time I got drunk, well, that was a whole ordeal.
Let's save that for today's poll talk.
Let's save that.
Brad's poll has something to do with that.
Okay, well, we'll get into Brad's poll here in a little bit, but why don't we get into a little baseball talk now with fundamental talk, because that has been at the forefront here, guys, for at least this week. And that was the buzzword around spring training if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan. And that's been the word that's been discussed recently. And it got discussed as recently as the end of yesterday's game where the Pirates swept the Baltimore Orioles to drop them to 3-6. So I want to talk about this fundamental conversation because Craig Albanez brought it up, manager of the Orioles. So, Brad, do you mind playing that clip? And then I'm going to react to it on the other side.
There's so many. Zach, do you know which one it is?
Yeah, it's a long season, it's a marathon season, but the biggest thing is, us this year, we still have a lot of work. We had a great camp, great spring training. I know spring training's over with, but we're trying to redefine ourselves as getting back to fundamental baseball, playing clean baseball, doing the little things right, and the work's still not done. We still have to get better, and that's on myself and the coaching staff to keep on pushing our guys to get better each day, especially in those areas like that inning where Magnum laid a bunt down, like we messed up the bunt play, and which led to JJ kind of missing second base, which because there was some confusion on the bunt play. So stuff like that we have to get better at to kind of shore up those little things so the big innings don't happen.
What do you think you guys could do? Obviously, spring training, there's a lot of that work this time. At this stage of the season, what's the balance of not wearing guys out before a game, but also making sure that the fundamentals will be in practice, even at this season?
Yeah, to me, there is no balance, and I think that's where a lot of in baseball, where it's like practice, with batting practice or whatever, that's just not going to cut it. I'm a believer in if players don't want to do extra work and get their bodies tired, you got to make sure you perform in the game because the game is the ultimate indicator of what you need to work on. So, we have to stay with our work and continue to work on the fundamentals, even in batting practice or before the game starts. So we have to really double down on that.
So fundamentals was talked about a lot, and we need to get back to it. And overall, I agree with Albie that you got time to continue to work on things, but it's also a good point that things haven't been good enough fundamentally, and that's why there's been some problems. Now, I will get into later about three things that I think that the Orioles, have been maybe their weaknesses so far in their losses. But right now for fundamentals, I think the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about was what does that fully entail? Albie touched on it a hair. But the fundamental parts of the game are making the plays that you need to make to put yourself in a position to have success. And when you go back and look at the first game of the season, the Orioles actually did a pretty good job of that on opening day. Besides the Tyler O'Neill, ball hit off his glove, the Orioles played pretty clean that day. Kobe Mayo made some nice plays. They manufactured 2 runs in a 2-1 ball game that required good base running, sacrifice fly, and 2-out hitting. And then you get the job done. But in some of these losses for the Orioles, specifically in this series in Pittsburgh, they were not very fundamentally sound.
Nope.
Now, he did mention the Jeremiah Jackson play at first on the bunt play, where Jeremiah got there a little bit late and then couldn't find the base. And look, is that going to be the difference in the game? Chris Bassett was having a tough time locating the ball yesterday. There's no secret to that, falling behind constantly and finding himself in bad pitchers' counts. They were in hitters' counts. But is that an out that should have been made? Yes. Could that have helped a pitcher that is struggling? Yes. And then there's the other parts of the fundamentals of the game where they might not be errors on the box score because that Jeremiah Jackson play went down as a hit.
Yeah.
But are there errors that you sit there and go, we know that should have been played better? Maybe some balls in the outfield that could be misjudged. Knowing how to cut off balls, knowing where the cutoff position is, making sure you're in the right place at the right time. Or just making sure you make the play and you make it a clean game. Whatever it is, that's the definition of fundamental. And for the Orioles, it just hasn't been. It hasn't been clean. And then you factor in that the team hasn't played consistent ball. You haven't been dominant on the mound outside of Trevor Rogers. You haven't been dominant with the bats where you've had some flashes. The other part, which I don't blame, but Taylor Ward starts off the game, then gets thrown out. I'm fine with being aggressive, but it just seems like the Orioles, things were a hair off.
Mm-hmm.
And so Albie's 100% right that they need to get back to being fundamental if they're going to get back on track. Because when I get into this next subject, it's going to show you the Orioles on paper probably shouldn't be 3-6, but they are because of moments. Because here's a fundamental part that goes down in the stat sheet. Shane Baz got targeted or charged with an error. He pitched well the other day in Pittsburgh. Overall, I thought he pitched really well. The Orioles lose that game 3-2. There was an error by Shane Baz. Runner scored. One unearned run, you lose the game 3-2. You play the Pirates in the first game, lose 5-4. Moments throughout that game where, yeah, you're in a hole, but you sit there and go, could we have played this a little bit better? And the answer is yes. So for the Orioles, they got to do a little bit of searching here because the buzzword is important or it's thrown around fundamental, but fundamental isn't just that we're making every clean play. It's that we're making plays that should be made. We're making it easier on our pitchers. We're making it easier for our batters to pass the baton and get the job done. That is fundamental ball. And when you watch the Orioles so far, they haven't been fundamental enough. And it does come with injuries. And I'm not going to fault all the guys. Jeremiah Jackson's playing in a position that going into the season, that was supposed to be Jackson Holiday playing 145 to 150 some games of the year, right? That's his position. But at the same time, there's no excuse. You got to know what you're doing. The outfielders, I know that there is a merry-go-round of who's playing in center and right, and that hurts for trying to get comfortable out there. But when it comes time to making plays or not, it's going to be talked about. And say what you want about Seti Mullins last year. You might have said, oh, that bat's decline and you don't like it. Well, I'll tell you what you did like. You liked that you didn't have to worry about him defensively out there. You knew what to expect when Cedric Mullins was in center field. And I think for the Orioles, this is the trial and error period. So I'm not getting down on what their record is right now because I do believe they can climb out of this. But it does start with cleaning up those little things because if they don't clean up the little things, they're going to have to be excellent elsewhere. And so far, they haven't been excellent elsewhere, and that's put them in this spot. Does that make sense to what I'm saying so far?
Yeah, I think like when I just look at the 30,000-foot view, obviously it's early. We're 9 games in. Let's not overreact about anything, but it is kind of like a bit concerning when you see that there's 89 strikeouts in 9 games, and then there's 6 home runs that have only been hit since in the 9 games. OPS is at 688. And then, oh, by the way, let's go on the other side of the of things where there's a 4.71 ERA despite having Trevor Rogers on that rotation. And then you go and look at the rest of the division, right? Because we actually talked about this last night, Rip, where the Yankees are pitching 2-3-5. They're in your division. The only team right now that you could say could rival the Yankees is actually the Rays. Because the Blue Jays just got swept. Red Sox suck. So like there are things that can be fixed, but they have to be fixed pretty quickly. And I don't know where you start with that. Obviously the fundamentals. So what do you do as far as improving that? Do you go out there before batting practice or during batting practice to continue to sharpen up those fundamentals, Rip? Like how do you do that in midseason?
Well, the thing is to know what your responsibilities are and knowing what you need to do before the play happens. And that might sound silly, but you got to have an idea, okay, if there's a bunt situation on, what have we gone over? What is my responsibility if he lays this down?
Yeah.
Where do I have to be? Or double play ball action, or if a ball's hit and it's choppy, you got to know in the split second what you're going to do. You can't hesitate on your moments. And the outfield, it's hard when you haven't been out there a lot. And so Dylan Beavers, he's trying to get comfortable out there. And it's also hard when those guys aren't playing every day to get comfortable. Tavares has the most experience when he goes out to center, so it's easier to plop him out there and say, hey, go do your thing because he has the reps. But he's thinking, when a ball's hit to my right or left, what's my range? What's the situation in front of me? And what do I have to do? Younger players, you got to think a little bit harder on that because your instincts aren't fully taking over yet. That comes with the more and more times that you're out there. Like Colton Cowser, I think, has really good upside to be a center fielder for this team. He's got to get more comfortable with being out and being the center field guy. And I think a pure example, and he's kind of joked around with O'Neal Cruz recently for the Pirates because he's misjudged the line drive, which outfielders will tell you a piss rocket at you is one of the hardest balls to judge because you don't know if it's going to dive in front of you or it's going to go over your head. And to O'Neal's defense, even though he's had moments, what's the biggest part for him is it's inexperience. He's not a center fielder. So it's going to take him time, but he's also got to be thinking about, all right, if there's a ball hit right at me, my first step can't be in.
Right.
If I'm unsure, I got to stay put. That's what I'm talking about, where it's the pre-pitched thoughts. Because the more that you premeditate your thoughts of where you need to be and how you angle it, the better off you're going to be as a player. But when you have to second guess a hair of what you're doing, then the game's not coming to you naturally, and I think you see more mistakes. And so far that's happened here, but we can talk more about some of the three things after we finish talking with our guest, because I could ask him about a little bit of how you work on things, because he's had a time or two to talk about fundamentals and talk about baseball, and he's been around. So if Terry's good, Terry, let me know if you're ready to rock and roll. Is he ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's bring on former manager Terry Collins. Terry.
It's a little bit garbled over on my side, so it's hopefully everything's good. So.
Yeah, you're good, Terry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
It's good to see you again. And before we get into a whole bunch, because you're still doing a lot, and I know specifically you had a special guest on your podcast recently, but do you mind touching a little bit on to you what the fundamental kind of means?
So I'm having a tough time hearing some of the stuff you're saying. It's a little bit garbled. So can you ask me that again?
Yeah, Terry, we just were talking about the fundamentals in baseball and trying to preach that. In your mind,
I think we have a very bad connection right now. You know, we've got a lot of storms going on here in Florida right at the moment, so maybe that's what the issue is. But I'm having a tough time hearing the question. So
ask him to go out and come back in.
Hey, Terry, I'm going to write you a message. Do you mind leaving and coming back in? We'll see if that helps.
Okay, let me call you. I'll call you on the cell. Then maybe we can do it off the computer. Might be better.
Perfect.
Okay.
The storms are rolling through down there for sure.
Yeah. Let me see something. I can.
So we'll try to fix that.
Yeah, we'll try to fix
If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Hey, storms are running through everywhere. They are. There's no doubt about it. But to maybe, can our audience hear us?
Yeah.
Right? Everyone can still hear us.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure it's not on our end. And actually, even though my laptop's in the jackpot right now.
Yeah.
Do you? Where did I put my other laptop? Did I send it to you? Did I hide it?
No.
Where did I put mine? Because this thing is so frozen. On a different note.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You mind grabbing that for me, Zach?
It's like every computer you touch.
Yeah, it's been something. I don't know what it is, but overall here, thank you, Zach. Good kid. Overall, every manager, everyone has a different thought of what the fundamentals is, and that's why when you practice it so much during spring training, you want to try to be as ready as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But throughout the season, yeah, you can go and talk about it out on the field, but the biggest part is getting players to think about, all right, what am I doing before the play? You hear pre-pitch this, pre-pitch that. Knowing what you're going to do beforehand is so important.
Yeah.
And I'd say for outfielders, one part that helps, doing drills before batting practice and then getting live reads off the bat during batting practice is one of the best things to do. You know, Cedric Mullins said he was a big guy for that, of saying, I'm going to get some really good reps in the outfield, maybe to get 10 really good reps, game reps, and then that's enough for me for the day. right? Get what you need. But I think that's the best thing because that's the closest you're going to get to the season or in the game is live BP where guys are they're cranking it. We'll bring that word back. And they're going out they're really driving the baseball.
Yeah.
That's where you can have the toughest reads is when guys are free swinging like that. So anyway, new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button, Ryan Ripken Show. But guys, I want to also mention, and Terry's not back yet, correct?
Nope.
Okay. I want to mention why people feel the way that they do. And Zach, I know that's why I was hearing you and Zach you and Kevin on the KZR, is that when things aren't going well, it sours you. You get frustrated. You're a little ticked off. And the reason why you feel that this story's happened before, because you're dealing with the recency bias of not only last year, which is on everyone's mind, where you had an older pitcher that got off to a slow start that couldn't have control, a.k.a. Charlie Morton last year. Right now, it's Bassett's problem through the first two starts. But that you heard this team had talent, and they were going to turn it on, and they didn't. So I 100% get it. And where it all stems from at the end of the day, too, guys, where does it all stem from? It goes back that the Orioles haven't been to a World Series in 43 years. And so when you're told that this is going to be this fun golden era, when they don't play well, it hurts.
Yeah.
And it stings. And it's pissed. So for all the ones that are out there that are upset, I get it. I understand. Now, I want to say we got a long way to go, but I don't blame anyone for feeling that way because there's a lot of hurt over the years, and you're going off of what you've seen over the last year plus.
Yeah.
And until they win games, you're going to have that feeling, Brad. And I think that's what we talked about.
Yeah,
as well.
I was just thinking like what we're seeing is it feels like the same DNA as last year right now. You know, obviously it's early, but that's, you know, the lack of offense, the fundamental issues defensively, like just all feels very familiar from last year.
Absolutely. And I think, is Terry back in?
Looks like he's back. Yeah.
All right, Terry, let's give this a round two. Terry, can you hear me?
Oh, he's muted.
He's muted.
There he is.
There we
Hear
go.
me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this better?
Great. That's great. Yep.
Perfect. Well, it's great to see you. I think so. You said that you're down in Florida. A lot of storms rolling through down there.
Yeah, we had a big storms come through today, and you know this is we've had absolutely no rain all winter, so this is we've got to get through this here in the next few days, but it'll be fine. So it's good to be on your show. How you been doing, man?
I'm good. I think the last time I got to see you was I ran into you in Port St. Lucie, if I'm not mistaken.
You did. You did.
We're going back some days. So the question I was asking you was, we just were talking about fundamentals and the game. And it's really hard to try to change a lot of things during the season. That's why when people say you got 6 weeks to work on it in camp. But for you personally, if you're a team that's trying to work on their fundamentals, make sure you know where you got to be in situations on bunt plays and cutoffs and relays. What was your adjustment, or how did you handle that as a manager when you knew you needed some things to be tinkered with?
Well, first of all, when I managed, fundamentals was the game. I mean, you had to hit cutoff men. You had to have bunt plays. You had to have pickoff plays. Those are gone now. It's all about, swinging for the fences. It's all about nobody bunts. Nobody plays small ball. So so when you go to spring training, I mean, how many bunt plays do you need when nobody bunts? One. So if you only have one bunt play, you better do it right. I'll go back, Ryan, a number of years, many years ago. I remember when I first started managing, Walter Alston was one of the greatest managers in the history of the game. 20-some years, he said, look, I think all the trick plays are fun. That's great. But you better have one or two plays that you do perfectly, that there's no doubt what you're going to do, and just do them right. When I teased him, I said, well, you had Koufax and Drysdale. I didn't have those guys. But the whole point was fundamentals were part of the game. Hit a cutoff man, back up the base, cover first, turn a double play when you need to. All of those things were absolutely the most important. That's what you spent all spring doing. But now the game has changed because it's all about multiple run innings. There's no longer play for one run. I had breakfast with Sandy Koufax about 2 months ago, and I asked him about how he would handle that runner at second base in the 10th inning, because he pitched 9 innings all the time. And he said, you know what? I would walk the first guy so I could get first and second. I get a double play ball and then strike out the next guy and get out of the inning. Because he said they're not bunting. Nobody's going to bunt the runners along. It's about playing for multiple run innings. And that's the difference in the game today for me. And for me, it's tough to see because I was taught fundamentals and I preach fundamentals. All the places I managed, I felt my team played the game the right way.
And that's the part, Terry. I mean, you're not, so far removed of going 20, 30 years. I mean, we're talking about a decade of over a 10-year period of how things have shifted. So maybe if you don't mind me asking, besides that, the way that they are playing, because you're right, even two-strike approach, you're playing to try to drive it for extra bases instead of maybe trying to find a way to get a base hit. I remember I was going back and looking at an interview I did with Eddie Murray, and Eddie said, if I guessed wrong on a pitch, because he liked to guess, he goes, I would just have my emergency hack swing. But tell you what, I had a lot of hits just being able to get the ball to the bat, because that's just what I still was taught to do. Get the ball to the bat, good things can happen. But now seeing how the game has changed, what has maybe been the other difference besides fundamentals? I mean, we now say that, managers have less control over their roster or over how they shift things. Is there anything that maybe that people don't know in that last decade that's shifted so much?
Ryan, that's a great question. Because I'm not involved with that anymore. I don't know what the preparation stuff is, but I watch the game and I see things that I'm saying that would have never flown 10 years ago. Be it, the stolen base stuff now, where you can only throw over 2 times. Well, there used to be certain teams you played against where you got to control the running game. Well, now it's tough to control the running game. But the other thing is you're not worried about anybody bunting anybody over. So if they're gonna get on, they're gonna try to steal. So now you've taken away the strategy of the game, and that's one of the things that baseball prided itself in, and that was strategy. Just like when they put the shifts on. Everybody had the shift, but also every player in the big leagues was taught to hit the ball the other way. Every single player knew how to hit the ball the other way. Whether you're right-handed, you know how to hit the ball the right. If you were left-handed, you know how to hit the ball the left. So, when the shifts came on, that never bothered me, because I said, my God, I got players who can spray the ball. Tony Gwynn would have hit 500 in today's game. But now, all of a sudden, I got scouts telling me, well, Tony couldn't play the game today because he didn't hit the ball over the fence. Nobody hit the ball in the barrel more than Tony Gwynn. So, those kind of analogies don't make any sense, but it just goes to show you the difference in the way the game is being played today. And when you have a snafu fundamentally, where you don't hit a cutoff man, or you don't hold a guy on, or you don't get a runner over, so you got a runner at second base and nobody tries to get a base hit to right field to get the guy to third base. That's the stuff that we were taught for 100 years. For 100 years. And it was good enough. You prided yourself, your team prided themselves on playing the game fundamentally sound. And now I don't even know what the fundamentals are anymore.
Yeah, it's a different style, but I still like to say that teams that I think fundamentally do a lot of things right because they have to, like the Cleveland Guardians, because they don't have all these big market, players. They go with what they have. I talked to Stephen Vogt, and Voter would say to me, he goes, I don't care how we win, we got to win. And if that means we're tagging up on a shallow ball where the second baseman's running back to make a basket catch. We got to read it, and if we can get a good jump and score, we're going to try to steal a run here. A hit and run if we got to put one on. You know, things like that. I think that they get more magnified too, Terry, in the postseason. And I don't mean to bring up a bad memory with it, but I think I remember the Royals were kind of that team when they faced you guys in 2015. You guys were red hot, right? For the Mets in the World Series, you guys were rolling. But the Royals
we were going in, but we sat for 5 days, Ryan.
Yeah, you did.
You know, we didn't play for like 6 days after we swept the Cubs. But you know, I watched the Blue Jays last year. I thought John Snyder's team played the game the way we were taught to play it. Mm-hmm. They moved runners along. They put the bat on the ball. They didn't worry about anything except trying to execute the game. And so, you know, there are guys today that, you know, go to watch games today. I'm tired of watching 15 strikeouts a night. I mean, I'm tired of it because, you know, just like you said, God, when you used to have 2 strikes on, you'd say, how can I put the ball in play here? You know, I need to put the barrel of the bat on the ball. I don't care what the results are going to be because if I can move a runner, a productive out, we used to call them productive outs. You know, maybe make a difference in the game. Move a runner, get him in scoring position, or a sacrifice fly, a ground ball, and you could win a game. And I just don't see that anymore. And so for me, it's tough to watch the game that I grew up playing, that I had managers pound it into me. How to just to do the 27 outs, limit the other team to 27 outs, and you got a chance to win.
You know, with all things that have changed over the time, that still holds the most true. And it's the simplest answer. Whoever gives away the least amount of opportunities, catches and throws the best, fields it, and then makes a hit or two, usually the team that wins. And typically the team doesn't give 29 chances.
That's exactly right. You can't, in today's game, you cannot give outs up. Because the lineups now are so deep, they're so strong. You just got to limit the number of chances the other team has, and that comes down to what you're saying. That's fundamental baseball. Get outs when you can get them, and make the most of it. The fact that when you come up and you have to advance a runner, pass the baton to the next guy. Do your job. Get the guy over in scoring position. Get him into third base or in a hit and run situation. I'm not even sure when the last time I saw a hit and run was. But to stay out of a double play, to give yourself your team a chance to score a run. So I look at those extra inning games today, and how many times really does somebody bunt that runner to third base? And I remember talking to Jim Leland one time, and he said, I will tell you what, Terry, I don't care who they are. I will guarantee you 80% of the time, I'm going to bunt my guy to third. 80% of the time, I'm going to drive that run in, and I'm going to beat you because you're going to go up there and you're going to try to score 2 runs and not just try to score 1.
That's the end of the day, get it done. How you get it done don't matter as long as you get the job done. And Terry, I got to ask you a little bit about how do you, in a second, I'll ask you about when you're going through some rough times, how you have your players' backs as well, how you can motivate them, how you can light a fire, because I think that all that's important. But before we do that, I know you're staying busy. And I believe you just had a special guest recently on your podcast and show. Tell us a little bit about what people can be looking for with you going on in the media space.
Yeah. So, I decided to do this podcast again this year. And one of the things that, really thrilled me was I got a Instagram return from Jerry Seinfeld. Said, I'd love to be on your show. We all know he's a huge Mets fan. So I said, I got to do this because I invited him to spring training one year to come out on the field, put a uniform on. He said, I don't know. But he's a huge baseball fan. And to have him on the podcast and listen to the stories, and, it was so much fun. And that's so I look, at the end of the year, I'm going to look back and say, I'm really glad I did this because Jerry was on there. But it's again, it shows you the depth of the fan bases of these teams. Baltimore, my God, the fan bases are crazy. New York, Yankees, Mets. I mean, I cannot. I go back to New York and do appearances and stuff. I can't walk down Fifth Avenue without being stopped 3 or 4 times to get a picture or to watch that video that went viral. I got to see that once a day. So, but it's it just tells you the greatness of the game that we're in love with. So
it's people love their teams, Terry. And I love that. So for anyone is that for everyone, they're looking for that episode with you and Jerry. Is that out now? And where can they find that?
No, it's out now. Yeah. Well, I don't really know. I'm not a big tech guy, but I think any place that you want to see a podcast, you punch in the Terry Collins show and this last week's Jerry Seinfeld episode shows up. So
amazing. So people can tune into that. And it's so fun seeing how many people care about the game, right, Terry? Because it's so passionate.
It really is. Ryan, I remember when I was in the American League, you did not go to Baltimore without having the place packed. It was packed every night. And that's where I think the game needs to, make sure it continues to fill stadiums, because the future, is in the youth today. And so we got to get them involved. We got to get them excited and keep them involved in the game. I spent a lot of time in New York, and I see families that, their fathers were, maybe Brooklyn Dodger fans. Well, the Dodgers left, so I'm never going to be a Yankee fan. So now I'm going to reserve myself to being a Mets fan now. And that's the future of the game. You can't take that away. And so we need to make sure the families can go to games. We need to make sure the families are still involved. And because who knows what's going to happen in the next few years, especially next year with, the end of the player development, or the contract is going to be up, that we've got to keep this game alive and keep it going. And, hopefully, people still enjoy going to the ballpark, that we don't overprice the game to where people can't go or people can't watch it. It's, I've spent my entire life doing it, and we've got to do whatever we can to make sure it continues to be a fun sport.
Amen to that, because the game is beautiful. It's great. It's a pain in the ass too, Terry, but that's what makes it great.
I know, but that's big league. That's big league sports. I mean, we've all been there where we're all supposed to be. Oh, this is a World Series team. Well, you know what? I used to tell the writers all the time in New York, the team on the other side of the field, they're big leaguers too.
Yep.
And so every night they walk out there, they're supposed to beat you. So it's not, even though you play a team that maybe you have better talent than they do, well, talent wins in the end, but you know what? You still got to go execute the game. And if you don't, you're going to get beat by no matter who the other side is, because they're pros too. And that's what makes the game great for me.
It does. It's a tough sport. It's a humbling sport to go out there and know that you're going to fail again and again and again. And again, and you got to keep showing up, right? You got to keep going back. And I'm glad you mentioned as well the cities and these fan bases where there's so much pride and joy. In Baltimore, that had been the team here. It's the longest tenured team in this area. Came in 1954. They had so many memories at Memorial and now Camden, and now they're trying to get back. And the game itself, Terry, it is a beautiful game, and I know things have changed a little bit as far as how you can't go in hard to second base on some double plays. Yeah. You can't send messages as much as you used to. And I got to say, I mean, I know you get stopped on it a lot, but I mean, those moments, you have probably had one of the most iconic mic'd up moments by accident. But, the fire and the passion, I think that's why people loved it so much, Terry, is that happened. But it was the passion you had for not only the sport, but for your guys. So you did that this was for your team. And I want to ask you about this because you going out there it was bigger than you having a moment. You were doing something that was for your guys. Can you just talk on that about having a locker room and having the team's back? Because we do see that. I mean, Craig Albanez in Baltimore got his first ejection as a manager yesterday, which it was colorful. It wasn't as colorful as yours, I will have to say. We did have a couple what the F are we doing moments from Craig. But can you talk a little bit about trying to motivate and maybe light a fire, but also knowing you got the boys back?
Well, when in 2015 in the World Series or in the playoffs, obviously, we lost our shortstop on which I would still to this day think was an illegal slide, which should have been a double play, got us out, and it broke my short. Know that in baseball there are paybacks, and so here's a guy who made a horrible slide and broke my shortstop's leg. And by the way, and we can go real quickly. At the time, nobody thought much about it, but this really affected this kid's career. So, so now in baseball, we have great memories in baseball. So we know we've got to pay this back. We've got to show the guys in our locker room that we're going to back them up. And so a year later, we finally faced Chase Utley again for the first time since he broke my shortstop's leg. So we all know that there's going to be something happen. Now, unfortunately, Noah Syndergaard didn't hit Chase, threw it behind him, but to be ejected was absolutely, for me, absolutely against all of the unwritten rules of the game. And that was my argument with, Tommy Hallion. And look, if which years later he and I've talked about, well, if you knew this was coming, then be prepared for it and then send out warnings. But you can't kick the guy out of the game to do nothing more than to what we all were all taught, and that is protect your teammates. And so, so I got a little carried away. I didn't, by the way, Ryan, I got to tell you, I did not know Tom was Mike. I did not know. And had I probably would have picked some better choice of words, but it's become crazy. I played golf today and we got rain and I had to go inside and some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, I just came down and they told me you were Terry Collins." I said, "Yeah." He said, here's my thing on my phone. I love this video. And he said, "Have you seen it?" I said, "Have I seen it? I lived it. I don't need to see it anymore." So there's not too many days go by where I don't hear, "You got to give us a shot. You got to give us a shot." So, anyway,
our ass is in the jackpot now, Terry.
Yeah. I know, but that's what makes the game great, and and I support it. I'll do anything I can in my power to make sure this is still one of the greatest games in the country.
Yeah, and you know what, Terry? Besides the fact that hot mic, but also I think that's why people loved you, because that was passion, right? I think we hear nowadays where people go, "You're showing up for your job," and look. I think being a professional athlete and being a professional baseball player, I didn't take that for granted. I got the AAA. I'm not going to say I loved every second of failing, but I loved every minute of the opportunity. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to, right?
Exactly. And so for you, though, I think that's why people love the moment so much, Terry, is because you don't get that ticked off and so passionate if you don't care about the sport the way that you did. And I think that was what I think fans remember. Besides, it's one hell of a soundbite. I mean, that is up there for top sound bites there, Terry. It's up there, but it was your authentic self that people loved to go on, "Damn, this guy loves baseball. This guy loves his team, and he's going to do everything he can for the Mets to make sure that he knows that his heart is with these boys." And I think that to me is what stuck out with you, Terry. Besides the fact that you've been a great baseball mind for all these years and you got so much love for the game.
Well, I do love the game. I mean, I didn't spend 55 years in it if I didn't love it. And I wish I could, I probably reached the end where, I can't do much more except talk about it with you. And that's what's fun about doing these podcasts. And, we continue to talk about different things that go on with the game. And that's the biggest thing. And I used to tell the sports writers in New York, I don't care what your opinion is. You're allowed to have it. Just don't lie. Just don't, talk about, if you want to talk about your opinion about should I have done this, or, it's like I used to say to me, did you think about doing such and such a thing in 19? I said, yeah, you think about every angle you have. And then you have to make a decision what you think is best for your team. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I never took an offense to that someone else had a different opinion than me, because that's what life is. Yeah. But when, it's about, and that's what the game provides. It provides every person who watches the sport to have a say, I would do this now. And right. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Hey, Terry, to wrap this up then, because you mentioned about the 55 years of being involved with baseball, so then I have to ask you this to close this out. Minor league stories, okay? You've probably seen a lot, and we've got some great moments throughout the years. We've had Buck Showalter driving a bus as a player through Chattanooga. We've had my dad talking about Drungo Hayeswood having one of the biggest brawls in the minor league history. John Smoltz had one going on with that. Darren O'Day talked about their bus driver misjudged an overpass and took off half the bus while they were driving. Do you have any minor league story over those years that one that you'd be willing to share with us today?
Well, first of all, you don't spend 23 years in the minor leagues without having a few minor league stories. And I've had all of those. I've had, I had a bus driver when I was in my first year in Lodi, California, who, took us to the ballpark one day, and he was drunk, and he drove through the fence going into the ballpark, knocked the fence down, and then called me at 11 o'clock at night, said he was going to kill himself, and he was just so distressed by what happened. That was one. I had, the flooding of fields. I've seen that before. I've seen guys go out and, mess up a field so we didn't have to play the next day. I saw that. I remember Kent DeColvey when I played with Kent in AA. He bought a loaf of bread and a pack of bologna, and that was his meal. That was what he ate for the entire road trip, because we only got $5 a day. So we couldn't afford anything. So, but that's what the minor leagues was about. I mean, it was about sleeping on the buses. It was about, being teammates. It was about, the experience itself. And, that there's that old saying, it's the experience. It's not, it's not where you end up. It's what you have to go through to get there. And so I think, the minor league baseball, if you never were a part of it, it truly can define you as a person, as a great teammate, to learn how to deal with situations that pop up that you never thought you'd ever have to deal with in your life. I was a farm director in Los Angeles. I had a player commit suicide, and I had to deal with that stuff. I mean, just different things that, you never thought you would ever have to, deal with in your entire life. Baseball and in minor league baseball provided all those, so you grew as a person. And so I used to tell my players, there's nothing that you're going to do that I have not seen or done. Nothing. And that's where I've always felt those true minor league managers, guys that have dealt with it all, for me, they become really successful in the big leagues.
They do, and in the minor league life, and it's the minor league grinders, right? That's the phrase. You got to be a grinder, but the reality is, too, I'll tell you this, Terry, is getting into this next career for media. For me, I still love the game. I miss being around the guys, because it's the people that you meet and the experience. But I'll tell you what, a lot of the things that I saw, went through, and you go through it with other people, you learn how to deal with so many things that life throws at you. And hell, I mean, we weren't making $5 a day back when I was playing in the minors, but I think the average salary was $5,000 to $13,000 a year. You know, and that probably make you a millionaire back in the day for you, Terry.
Ryan, I'm going to tell you what. My first year, I got drafted, and I signed. I've made $500 a month. I was the MVP on our team. I made the All-Star team, and I got a $50 raise. I made $550 the next year, and I had a college education. Okay, I made $550, and the next year, one of the players on our team was married. And so he used to split his meal money on when we go on the road with his wife. He'd give his wife $250 a day, and he took $250 a day. So I'm not sure how he survived, even though food wasn't very expensive. But that's what you did, man. You wanted your chance to chase your dream, okay? Yeah. And so you were willing to sacrifice whatever else there was in life to chase the dream. And I have given speeches to multiple corporations and groups and youth groups. You know what? I believe in dream chasing because I chased mine and I got it. And so I know it's out there. I know it's out there to be achieved. So, but there are things you got to do. You got to block out certain things so that you can get the maximum chance for you to get to what your dream is. And so I think, baseball was one of those things that I see today when I see a player, he's a 28-year-old rookie. You know what? Salute that sucker. Salute he signed at 18. He spent 10 years in the minor leagues. Salute him. He needs to be applauded because of what he got to. He didn't stop. He didn't give up. People need to see is that you need to believe in yourself. And you need to know that, hey, look, you're capable of doing whatever you want to do. And so, Ryan, I think what you're saying and what you're doing right now, you can send a message. And that's the only reason why I do a podcast. I just want to send a message to the fans that what it's like behind the scenes. It's not all glorious. It's not all multi-million-dollar glamour. There is grinding, tough, big-time, tough days that you have to do to get to that spot.
Amen to that, Terry. I'm right there with you, and I'm so glad we got to reconnect. And at the end of the day, you're right. Life's a grind. Minor leagues is certainly a grind, but above all, keep tracing your dream because you're a living example of that. And I'm glad you're doing well. I really have enjoyed having you on. I could talk baseball with you for hours. But we'll have to do it again down the road. But be safe with those storms. Enjoy yourself.
Yep. Anytime, Ryan. Anytime you got my number, call me, and we'll do a better job than what's going on right now because we got some issues down here right now. But we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Hey, you know what? You were and once we got it figured out, the second half was pretty damn good, Terry. So we'll do it again. All right.
All right. Thanks, pal.
See you, Terry. Terry Collins, everybody. See, when we go down those, I could talk about baseball forever.
I know. Yeah.
And the thing what I love with people that have been involved in the game for so long is they're passionate about this, not because they try to sit here and say how, the game's changed or what's happened. No. It's coming from a place that he has devoted his time and energy to not only live out his dream, but to help live out the dreams of others.
Yeah.
And overall here, I think with everyone out there, with Terry, with the current managers, the current players, the past players, you're chasing something. And why Terry, though, specifically could bring it all together, cares about the game, man. He loves baseball.
By the way, 76 years old.
Yeah.
That guy looks real good for 76.
Freaking beast, man. Yeah. I also love the fact that, we didn't have to show the interview again. But I love the fact of him saying about, I didn't know he was mic'd up. I'm like, I'm glad you didn't know he was mic'd up.
Got to give us a chance.
Got
to give us a chance.
But I honestly think that's why people loved it so damn much.
Oh, my God.
Is because he's like, this is my team. We think that Chase made a bad slide. We ain't letting that slide, and we're sticking together.
It was one of the dirtiest plays of this last decade or better.
And he was great. And Terry, I will say on the fundamental side, Nowadays is you want to go off of town, and that's so important. Don't get me wrong. So important. But back then, you had to do everything right.
Yes.
And if you didn't, they sent your ass back down.
Right.
Like it was, oh, you're not going to do this for us? We're going to find someone else that will. And that's how it was preached. And I think that is a big part here for what we're seeing. And it's a great transition about the fundamental talk for today, because at the end of the day, the team that usually wins makes a fundamental play when it counts. You want to still go to the World Series, and I'm glad he brought it up. The Blue Jays were projected to be possibly the worst team in the American League East last year, and they had a 20-win change.
Yep.
They played hard. They battled. They scratched and clawed with 2 strikes. And the Dodgers, for as many people that want to say they're the super team, the guy that ended up being the savior for them was Miguel Rojas, who hadn't had a hit in a month and had a hanging slider that he put over the fence. And then on an infield tough play where he lost his balance, he still gathered himself enough, made a strong throw home, and they got an out by a footstep. And then, Will Smith hit the home run, and Yamamoto was a superhuman. The Dodgers had 17 starting pitchers last year.
That's bananas.
And they won. Yeah, they are super talented. Don't get me wrong. But the Dodgers do a lot of little things right, and that's why their talent with how they played the game is a big reason why they won the World Series, not just last year, but the last 2. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And we're also on Spotify and Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Just like Terry Collins Show, you can get the podcast everywhere. And I look forward to seeing that Jerry Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
That's going to be electric here. I know you got a lot of poll talk running.
Yep.
I do want to get back to the Orioles slow start, but do we want to reset with a little poll talk for now?
We can, yeah. It's actually
Poll
quite interesting. So lots of engagement on this one, rightfully so. Today's poll talk, brought to you by Brad the Poll, is what kind of alcohol gives you PTSD? In other words, what kind of alcohol do you stay away from because maybe it reminds you of a very bad night? Maybe you threw up a ton. Maybe you did something real stupid drinking said beverage. And so the options are tequila, vodka, dark liquor, and box wine. Beer didn't make the list because you always go back to beer. Don't matter what.
Yeah.
So the box wine is one of the worst hangovers I think you could ever have. If you get shit-faced on box wine, don't know if you have, but it's terrible.
I think wine in general is an awful hangover.
Well, yes, but like box wine in particular.
You ever slap the bag?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a tradition like no other.
It
with
is.
That.
Yeah.
Box wine, it's
Yes,
great.
yes.
It's one of those things. If you're old enough to do it, it's a good tradition.
Yeah. So
You got to do it once.
the results so far are tequila at 37%, vodka comes in at second place, really close. Third place is dark liquor, and then box wine actually only comes in at 7%.
Yeah, I feel like typically when you have a bad experience for people,
Yeah.
mine actually is not tequila. I'm still,
Evidently.
as you guys know,
Yeah.
tequila and I still have a strong relationship.
Yeah.
But tequila, I feel like the bad tequila really leads to some tough nights for people. I think that's like a consensus. I have some people go, oh boy, it's like tequila. Had too many Tequila Tuesday nights, or Taco Tuesday turned into Tequila Tuesday, turned into Down for the Count Tuesday. You know?
Yeah. Mine's got to be dark liquor. Like if I have to pick one of them, I feel like everyone, you have a bad night on all of them.
Yeah.
You know, like there's always that morning after with each individual one where you're just like, this is awful. But I feel like dark liquor may be the most for me. Just like the next day, I'm like, why did I ever think that was a good idea? Especially dark liquor shots. That kills me.
That gets scary.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that gets bad.
Gets scary.
Gets bad.
Yeah. Mixing dark liquor shots is where it also
Oh, then you're
gets-
done.
Yeah.
You're
Have you ever made a mistake before in your life? Guilty. That was me.
Yeah.
I've done that. And that probably was the moment for me. I can't say specifically which one.
Yeah.
But that was a moment for me.
I feel like for most people, it's probably tequila. Tequila is definitely mine. Like I've just started to kind of work my way back into having tequila in the form of a margarita.
Yeah.
But straight tequila, not my thing. I mean, I had a terrible experience with tequila in Moscow, Russia. It's a hell of a story.
I mean, that's
that seems.
Is that a Rip After Dark story?
It is.
That
I mean, kind of. It was actually my sister's 21st birthday. We were in Moscow
21st.
celebrating her birthday, and we mixed champagne and tequila
Oh, my
together,
goodness.
and it was not good.
See, now that
Everybody's just yakking.
that is a rough combo.
Yes,
That is a lethal combo.
It was bad.
You know, I mean, champagne and vodka would make more sense in Moscow.
No, but so the thing is, we were at like a Cuban restaurant in Moscow,
Oh,
and sorry, it was Brazilian in Moscow. So then we had tequila at the Brazilian place, and
Yeah. that's gonna
with some Marines too. By the way,
well,
hanging out with Marines,
there
you know
go.
what it's like hanging out with SF guys.
Yes, yep. Work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We've all had our moments. I can't say champagne and tequila. Actually, I lied. Speaking of that, I have done that, but not to the extreme that you've done that.
Yeah,
I've had like a celebratory toast, but then gone to tequila. I haven't
Right.
been like, let me just down some champagne and let me
Yeah.
throw in some tequila after.
yeah. My stepmom like bought us all a couple bottles of champagne because she just loves to spend money on us, and then somehow we went to tequila after that.
Tequila Town,
Yeah.
dangerous place to go here.
Sure is.
Well,
Makes your clothes fall off.
some would say. Some would
It's a whole
say.
song about it.
Well, we will talk more about that, and we'll save some more Rip After Dark. I don't know why.
Calvin loses his head to
Yeah, you
tequila.
you lose your head. Put
Oh,
the oh,
Jesus.
he's fine.
Oh,
He's fine.
Calvin.
Just heads falling off everywhere. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, let's get back into a little sports talk. We will get into that the Ravens, Lamar actually showed up, which people went, oh my goodness, he would never. He did.
He did.
Spoiler alert. And we'll explain why that has been a talking point, because apparently there were some segments that we're going to be talking about how he wasn't going to show up.
Zach cannot wait for that.
Yeah. Zach's
Not
been
only
waiting for that moment.
segments that were supposed to happen, segments that happened.
Yeah, that happened that weren't supposed to happen.
Woof, woof. Well, we'll get into that. But can I talk about the Orioles? Three things about with the slow start, or three things that were on my mind that I think that we need to just talk about, or how they can get back on track.
Three ways the Orioles can get back on track.
Three ways the Orioles to get back on track. Let's start with number one. Number one is it starts with your starting pitching. And in this case, right now, the one that's had the quality starts in his first two starts has been Mr. Trevor Rogers. He's been able to go deeper into games, 7 innings in the first one, I believe 6 in the last one. No runs in the first one, 2 in the second. Orioles won both games. Now, in the other starts for the Orioles, it's been a little bit rocky. Kyle Bradish has yet to go 5 innings. Chris Bassett has yet to go 5 innings. Shane Baz did go 5+ innings, so he's the only one that's been going that length, but not to the results that you were hoping for in the first one, but he kept the team in the game. And the second one at Pittsburgh, I did think he did pitch well. But overall, you want your starter to go 6. Helps your bullpen. Because what's happened here, whether you think the Orioles bullpen's a weakness or not, which we talked about last week on could this be a problem? It very well could. But you know what's a bigger problem is using a bullpen that is already depleted because of injury and then overusing them. So number one, you need to take care of take care of your starting pitching, go deeper into games. Number two, we touched on it. It is you got to make more plays the fundamental ways, not have your pitchers throw more because of errors, getting out of innings quicker, and then being able to take an extra base, not run yourself out of an inning, and be in a position where you can make that one extra play that wins you a ball game. And in games where you lose by 1, it's going to sting more. But in other cases, it can stop games from getting out of hand. And that second inning for Chris Bassett, we mentioned it earlier. Jeremiah Jackson couldn't get his footwork there, loads the bases. Could Chris Bassett still have given up 4 runs that inning or 5? Sure. But does it hurt, when your starting pitcher needs the help, yeah, you're not making the plays that you can. And it happened for the Orioles. When you lose one-run games, you can go back to fundamental moments and say, did you do enough? You probably didn't. And then the third thing is, guys, it's the offense. But offensively, I want to explain, they're not as bad numbers-wise as people are going to say or to think, but it's about situational execution. So in this case, I know people are upset about the striking out. I'm aware. The Orioles strike out. They struck out 14 times last game.
89 times this season.
Right. And here's the thing. And Terry was saying about the games changed. There are 9 teams in front of the Baltimore Orioles who have struck out more so far. The New York Yankees are 1 strikeout behind them as a team. They're 11th. The Orioles are 10th in baseball in strikeouts. The Orioles, average-wise, actually, as a team, they're top 10 in average. There's the part. And then OPS, they're actually surprisingly in the top 15. They're right middle in the pack. So when you're saying, what's happening? Why aren't they doing enough? What is going on with this team? Well, they are 21st in RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in the bottom third there. Home runs we talked about, they're not doing the damage that they'd want. Right now, the Dodgers have the most home runs in baseball, 16. Baltimore has the third fewest with 6.
Also, it's surprisingly, a lot of fans have been kind of critical of the aggressive play, but they're 26th in stolen bases as well.
And part of that goes with you're trying to figure out your lineup. Maybe you've been behind in games, so you're not going to run. So the Pirates game yesterday, when you fall behind, you're down 6, you ain't stealing the rest of the game really, because you don't want to run yourself out of an inning.
Yeah.
So in those cases, first game of the series against the Pirates, you were trailing majority of the game. You got to be careful.
They're also 23rd in runs. Do you know where they stack up against other teams that have winning records?
So right now, if we're going to go to that case in runs, so if you're saying the Orioles are 23rd, teams that are behind them, the Reds, the Rockies, the Red Sox, the Padres, the Guardians, the Blue Jays.
Not all good teams.
No, except Padres starting to put some things together. The Rockies are, the Rockies.
Yep. Red Sox, worst team in the league.
But here's another little thing. You want to talk about runs. So the Orioles have, they have 34 runs.
34.
So put in this sense, the Texas Rangers, who beat them, and I thought Texas is overall, they've been off to a pretty solid start, if I've seen that correctly right now.
Yep.
So far, Texas is 4-5. Yeah. But they're 1 game ahead of the Orioles. They have 2 more runs than them on the season. Right? You want to go up that list. The Tampa Bay Rays have the 9th most runs. The Yankees have 12 more runs. Part of that is you have a couple good games that can make a difference. But for a lot of these teams, it's kind of razor thin when it comes to some of these margins. But I want to read you another offensive stat because we want to go back to the strikeout part. The Mariners are hitting 198 as a team and have the 2nd most strikeouts in the league at 104. But the reason why they have won games so far and why they're 4-6 and not worst is they have a 2.72 ERA. Now, the New York Yankees, we just talked about, they're 1 strikeout behind the Orioles. They're a little bit ahead of them in runs. But the biggest difference for the Yankees, they have the 2nd best ERA in all of baseball. They have a 2.35 on the season. That's why they're 7-2. So when we go back to this in these 3 phases, the Orioles right now, with what they've done, it's really about their situational execution. Don't play as much from behind as they have. That helps with your starters. Play for more fundamental. That helps your starters, and it gives you more opportunities then to make more things happen, both defensively and offensively. And then finally, hitting. Yeah, you got talent. It's there. They've had some unfortunate situations, but then they also haven't helped themselves when they've been pressed falling from behind. And teams got to be comfortable with being down. But when you look at it, their numbers aren't bottom barrel and everything, but none of them have been top tier, and that's why they're 3-6. I really do think this Orioles team is much better than the record. And I'm not going to push any panic button on that. But again, I do understand of why there's a little bit of worry, because last year they got off to a slow start. And you can't get off to such a slow start that you're in such a big hole. So the series against the White Sox, while it's not a must-win series, it would really help if you win the series coming back home because it builds momentum. But you lose another series, say you drop 2 or 3, and you're coming home at 4 and 8. Yeah, then there's a little bit more pressure that sets in series by series.
Yep.
Closer you stay to 500, the more you're just 1 win streak away from everything getting going and getting hot. That's it. But the rest of the league, guys, the New York Yankees are 7-2. The Guardians are 6-4. Astros are 6-4. And every other team, actually, there's only one other team that's at 500 in the American League outside of Cleveland, Houston, and the Yankees. And that is the Angels at 5-5. So put that in perspective. 4 teams are at 500 or better in the entire American League. So you have time. Those 3 things need to be the emphasis if you're going to make that jump.
Yep.
Right? And I know, Zach, you have some thoughts. There's some worries.
I think the biggest worries is they're 23rd in the league in runs scored this year.
Yes.
They were 24th in the league last year. They're not bottom of the barrel at everything, but they're bottom of the barrel at all the things that matter. The pitching has been bad. They have not manufactured runs. They have not hit the long ball. If you either manufacture them or you hit the long ball. They're not doing either. They're playing from behind most games. And we've talked about this throughout the season, throughout the offseason. One of the biggest things that we wanted to see was a hot start, get out in front, not because of, if this team falls behind early, they're not getting back. It's because you didn't want to deal with it again. You wanted to establish some sort of winning culture. That's why it was so big in the 3rd game of the year, these early games when they were coming back and winning, because you're like, hey, that's something that didn't happen last year. But now they're falling behind early again. I mean, against the Pirates, they fell behind first in every game. You're not going to win games. And my biggest fear is that you get exactly what you got last year, a team that falls behind early and does not have what it takes mentally to get back, because we've seen it snowball. And we've seen what happens when this Oriole team snowballs. I'm not worried about the offense at this moment because I think they have enough talent that they've added. I will once again, I put this little tag yesterday out there, precursor on my conversation. None of this, every poor stat and everything negative said about the Orioles does not go to you, Taylor Ward. Thank you for caring. Thank you for getting on base. Everyone else, though, let's listen up. We gotta figure out how to get runs in. Too many times, Colton Cowser, bases loaded, 1 out. You just got to put the ball in the air. You can't strike out on 3 changeups. It's little things like that. I think Colton Cowser and Gunnar Henderson, prior to yesterday's game, had both seen the most off-speed pitches in all of baseball. You got to adjust. So, like you said, Rip, they're getting on. The average is there, and that's what's frustrating is the Orioles throughout this season, while very early, they'll lose a game where they score 2 or 3 runs, and then you look at it and you're like, they got 10 hits. And so it's like that thing where I keep saying on Kevin and Zach React, I was like, you can feel them pounding on the door of they're about to break through for that big game. You're just waiting to see it.
Has to
You're
happen.
waiting to find that, okay, they've got the guys on. Now they're looking for that big hit. Too many times guys like Pete Alonso, Gunnar have come up in situations where a big hit changes the outlook of the game completely, and they're striking out, stuff like that. They're just 1 hit away each time. And once they figure that out, I think things are going to go a lot more smoothly. And I'm also pitchers and stuff. I trust Rogers, Bradish. I trust Boz. We'll see what happens with Bassett. When Dean comes back up, I trust him. I think that's going to figure itself out. They just need that 1 hit. They need to start manufacturing.
Yeah, I mean, how about Dean, man? Couldn't come up any sooner. Like, desperately need Dean Kramer. I think also, looking at any of your statistics, guys, being 3-6 starting the season isn't good statistics wise, historically. But here's what I'll say too. A couple of people talking about how Pittsburgh is a mediocre team. And to Rip's credit, They could be a sneaky good team this year. Do you know how many teams have given up at least one home run this season?
How many teams?
How many teams have given up at least one home run this season?
All of them.
No.
Except the Pirates?
Pirates
Oh.
have not given up one home run all season, and they're the only team to do that. So their pitching staff full of studs.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I know when everyone looks at the schedule and goes, damn, easy schedule out the jump. Actually, when you play some of the easier teams early on, I think that's scary because they have hope. It's a different schedule.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get your bearings. Like the Washington Nationals started off pretty hot, if I'm not mistaken. They won the series in Chicago. Washington's not expected to be this great team.
No.
But when you start off the year, there's a certain sense of getting our footing. If we get off to a hot start, you can play with confidence. And as the season goes on, your true colors will kind of show as a team and what you got. But for the Pirates, for the longest time here, I know how people think, but watching this Pirates team now play, and I'm sure they're going to go through a roller coaster, but I truly do mean this. I can see the Pirates being the second best team in the NL Central. Yeah. I think Milwaukee should still be number one. But when I look at the rest of that, if Ryan O'Hearn is all-star Ryan O'Hearn from last year, and Brandon Lau replicates 25 home runs for that team where he had 30 last year, and you have Osuna, and O'Neal Cruz takes a little bit of a step where he's starting to hit lefties. This lineup with Skeens, with Chandler, and some of the pieces that they have, they will challenge for a postseason spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a far-fetched thing. That's just your eye test. Look at, does this team look like they can be decent? And the answer is yes, not even decent. Can they push? And I think with guys like Ryan O'Hearn and Brandon Lau, their feel in the locker room changes everything. And that's what I talked to Brandon Lau about. Oh, and then by the way, Connor Griffin doesn't have to be Superman from the start, but damn, he's got some potential.
Which, by the way, those guys were not on last year's Pirates team.
Yeah, they weren't.
So different ball club this year.
And I'm trying to see what was the Pirate. I saw Mouse say Pittsburgh started hot last year. Well, the Orioles didn't start hot last year and didn't turn out well. I don't want to look so far early into the seasons overall because some teams are hot out the gate and they fall apart.
2023 Rays.
And they still won a ton of games.
No, I know, but like they fell
so
off
far
a
ahead.
cliff in August.
There's a lot of teams you want to peak at the right time. Right now, as it stands, the Marlins, the Mets, the Braves, the Phillies, yeah, they're playing solid. Are they all going to be there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Truly, though, it's not about one series or two. It's really about what do you do moving forward.
There's 151 games left to play.
And again, not a must-win series for the Orioles, but the more series you lose to start and the further gap that you have, the pressure builds and it mounts.
Yep.
And that's what happened. But from difference from last year to this year, their rotation is better. Like Kyle Bradish is going to be fine.
Yes.
And this is the first time Kyle Bradish, by the way, has pitched to start a season since 2023. I'm not worried about Kyle Bradish. I'm not worried about Shane Baz so long as he's healthy.
And that's the funny thing. It's like it's weirdly the pitching. I know that's been like the tough spot for the Orioles. I just feel like they got the talent with Baz, Rogers, and Bradish to where I know the top three. I know people haven't been over the moon about Baz. I think he had a very nice start against the Pirates.
I did too.
Those three, that's a very nice 1 through 3.
Yep.
Hey, I think Bassett's a professional. He's going to put it together. Dean Kramer when he comes back, and then the smorgasbord of Brandon Young starting tonight. I'm sure we'll see Trey Gibson, guys like that. You can piece together that back end. But yeah, I'm looking for the big, the offense to take those steps. Kevin and I said it last night. We are officially saying that this game tonight is not a must win, but it is a can't lose. It's only game 10, and there's no such things as must wins on April 6th. But coming off a sweep of the Pirates, can't lose this game.
I think the bigger part with this is, and I hear the discord, and I mentioned it earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why people are frustrated.
Yeah.
100%. And it's fair because 2023 was such a euphoric feeling for so many O's fans of holy hell, we're back. And then the playoffs happened and that stung. But you said, you know what? We're going to hit the ground running. And they did in 24. And then they're hanging on. Injuries mounted, but you still got back to the postseason and you had a chance to win that series against the Royals. You had moments and you couldn't win a game. All right, pressure builds that, okay, you got to the playoffs, we haven't won a playoff game. We got to win a playoff game. But then you start losing, and that pressure sank in. And then fans, with the moment of this is the golden age of Orioles baseball now, goes, man, I'm crushed again. And so I 100% feel for Orioles fans on that. And this is the part that the Orioles as a team, even with the new manager, have to change this perception. Until you get back to having a winning record, people are going to wonder, is this the same team as last year, or is this the same team that had faults in years past?
Well, especially because you're seeing a lot of the same weaknesses in the first 9 games that you saw last year.
And that's what. And again, I think it's 2 separate teams with 2 separate issues. Because if you watch the Orioles last year, there was one game that was really just bad.
Easter last year
was oof. Happy holidays. But overall, yeah,
we just got next year. I need the Orioles to just be like, hey, we're taking the unusual Sunday day off. We're observing next year. Yeah. We will not be playing on Easter.
But the point being with all this is, for the Orioles, they have to just win games. They win games, the feeling will go away. But this team from a roster is way different. I think there's only 6 guys on this team from last year's opening day roster, if I'm not mistaken. There isn't a ton.
Yeah.
And if it is, there's under 10 or ever since 23. This isn't, the roster's different. So Adley, Gunnar wasn't on opening day last year.
Nope.
So Adley, I'm blanking.
Tyler O'Neill,
Ryan Mountcastle.
Hauser was, and then 2 days later wasn't.
Okay, 4.
That's that. Let's go through pitching. I love that it makes it reset.
Was it Wells on that? Maybe 5?
No, Wells was
injured
opening day last year, was he?
Right. So it was the year before. So
yeah, Trevor Rogers wasn't. Zach Eflin was, but now he's
gone. So 5.
Yenier Cano, and I guess I'm not going to. Obviously, Albert Suarez and Cade Povich don't count. So yeah, 6.
Big Al wasn't on the team for opening day or this year.
Or last year. Or last year, correct?
No.
Yeah, because he came up like 4 weeks in, and
regardless of this, so to my point, this roster is different. It is, but it's the perception that they have to overcome. This group in the locker room, what do you got?
Oh no, I was just saying, like, boom,
Agreed.
Like that's the big thing. It's like it is different, and I said this before. Kevin and I were talking. I was like, if this was 2024, people would be like, damn, they got to get their shit together, but they'll be good. But it's because last year you've seen the same stuff, and it is automatic. You see them fall to 3-6, and it's not, okay, suddenly 3 games down from 500. I mean, you sweep the White Sox. I'm not saying that happens, but you sweep the White Sox, you're back to 500.
Yeah, back in business.
But if you fall to 4 games, 5 games, we talked to Ryan O'Hearn, and he was like, man, we were fighting our ass off towards the middle of the season, but you get 4 games in a row and you're like, we're getting somewhere. And then you look up and you're like, we got to 11 games under. And it's like, it's hard. So it's like, I just don't want this team to have to battle with that again. That's why I think it's so important that they get back to 500, have a semi-decent start to the first quarter of the season, and then you can build on that. You just don't want them to get back in that mindset of, oh crap, we're back fighting our asses off to get back into contention.
Yeah.
And they got to do their best job to block the outside noise. And I know that's a cliche thing, but you have to.
Yep.
And I just mentioned, if we're going around the AL
East,
you can't press. And if we're going around the AL East and the American League, we'll just do that all as a whole right now. I just mentioned there is 4 teams in the American League with a winning record. Sorry, 3, and then 1 team's at 500 to make it 500 or better. The Guardians, The Astros, the Yankees, and the Angels are at 5-5. Every other team in the American League has a losing record. The AL East, the second place team is the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays, who the Blue Jays just got swept by this White Sox team.
Yes.
And now they got the Dodgers.
They got the Dodgers, but that's at 4-5.
Yeah.
Right?
Blue Jays. Blue Jays got.
And
They
not only
needed
that,
to win a game in that series.
I'll take it one. They just got swept after losing 2 of 3 to the Rockies. Tomo shoving.
Tomo.
That's a
Tomo
different thing.
looks damn good.
Why didn't we re-sign him?
Where was that,
Actually, I'll
Tomo?
give you this. This is exactly what Kevin and I talked about last,
Bring
because
him back.
people in the chat were like, "Oh, of course, Tomo, doing this." And I was like, "We are not rewriting history here." I was like, "Every one of you would have been so pissed off if they re-signed Tomo."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "Let's not pretend like this was a guy everyone wanted back." Hell yeah, Tomo though.
And so then Boston's 2-7. They have played some bad baseball. I mean, super bad. I mean, Ron Harris Suarez, by the way, guys, who everyone was really upset with the Orioles not signing him.
He looks terrible.
And you know what also happened?
He looked bad in spring training, though, too.
Well, and the other
And in
part
the
is
WBC.
he wasn't. They even said he wasn't fully built up going through the World Baseball Classic. They said he was going to be limited to start, and he looks like a guy that's a little limited to start.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at all these moves and what's happening, yeah, Boston's 2-7. So as much as people are mad with the Orioles, which, hey, I get it. Red Sox are 2-7. You go around the rest of this league, man.
Jared Carrabis has just been all over.
Oh, he
is not happy.
Not happy guy.
Not a good scene in Carrabis.
And this is the part, actually, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Big bamboozle.
Big Bamboozle, appreciate you. And this is the point. You have PTSD from playoff games where Corbin Byrne threw a gem and couldn't score a run, and the Rangers just own us over and over again. Perception.
Yeah.
It's what it is. This is the biggest talking point, honestly, for this 3-6 start. If the Orioles had won a playoff series over the last 3 years, you wouldn't have this type of feeling. If the Orioles didn't have the season that they had last year, we wouldn't be having this much of a worry to start the season. It's because of what hasn't happened over the years is why people feel the way that they do.
Yep.
Case in point. So hopefully tonight against the Austin Hayes led White Sox and some other players. Murakami is just killing it.
Oh my God. That guy.
We overthought that one.
Everyone overthought that one.
Good God, that guy.
Everyone overthought that one. That guy is balling.
I didn't know they made guys that big in Japan.
That was one of those classic, we let the calculators, where it's like you look at all the advanced stats of like, oh, but his average first pitches on this and like we forgot to take into account of like damn, that guy hits effing nukes. Like
he also looks like he's having a
hit
blast
nukes.
doing it too,
Yeah.
by the way.
I will say, which has been one of the most wholesome things on the internet. So I guess he came from a team that was also like the White Sox of
Yeah.
the KBO. So a bunch of Japanese fans that are like following the White Sox now, like White Sox fans were like, hey, we are so sorry. And they were responding and being like, oh, no worries. We're used to this.
Yeah.
Like he's always been on horrendous teams.
Yeah.
So like, don't worry about us jumping ship.
Yeah.
We're just here to support our guy. Like we get it that he's on a bad team.
Is Murakami a bigger dude than Otani? Or is Otani bigger than Murakami?
Otani's built in a lab. There's still a
because
difference.
that picture of them next to each other, I will say, Murakami has been really good since that
The
video.
dude is like
of
jacked.
Shohei showing him something with his stance.
Their
and then
swing, dude,
since
their swing
then-
looks almost the exact same.
So he's 6'2", 213. I think Otani's 6'5". You know
He's only 213.
what it says.
Wow. He looks bigger than that.
He does.
Otani's
he does.
6'4", 210, supposedly.
Otani's only 6'4", 210. That's
No way.
I'm gonna.
Well, no, now I'm trying to think. Is this
6'4", 210?
I'm
Both
not
of those
buying
guys
that.
are way bigger than.
Not buying that.
No.
Not buying it.
I'm taking the over on both of them.
Not up in here.
This has to be. This has to be before the what's it called? ABS.
Before
got
they
them-
turned 18? Yeah, probably.
for real.
Well, you know, some of the weight and height the height has to be changed for the strike zone.
Yeah, allegedly.
Exposed
Allegedly.
a lot of guys with that one.
It
That
did.
they should have let people know that was coming.
So, but meanwhile, the White Sox some good things, and I do want us to talk about the Lamar Jackson. Should we stay with the White Sox and finish with Lamar since we're on so much baseball, or what do you think?
Yeah.
Mr.
Let's
Brad.
do that. Let's just stick with baseball.
All right,
we'll get to
we'll get back.
Lamar.
We'll get to Lamar in a second. But before we continue on with this stream, guys, let's take a quick note to the other stream. Hey, now, who's that handsome fellow? Hey, our friends over at AutoStream Car Care Center. Listen, everyone's going to have car issues. If you have a car issue, go on over to AutoStream Car Care Center because when you mention my name, Ryan Ripken, you get $50 off any service. My name is good for something, I swear. They got 10 locations throughout Maryland, and they're expanding. They might have more. So stay tuned when we talk about that. But appreciate our friends over at AutoStream Car Care Center from one stream back to another.
Might actually have to go to AutoStream, by the way. I didn't tell you about this.
Bad for the car.
Dude, the other night I pulled into the driveway, go to pull the e-brake, snap.
Oh, that's good.
Whole thing snapped.
Damn.
That's
So,
not good.
Might have to get a new e-brake put on.
I'm not supposed to do that.
Gonna head on over to AutoStream.
Well, damn. Yeah, it sounds like you can get $50 off with any service.
I mean,
Using
yeah.
Ryan Ripken.
Does it carry the same weight if I just mention my name?
In due time.
Brad Smith.
They're gonna be like,
All right.
okay.
That's great. That'll be full price.
Actually, we're gonna add to your bill.
Yes. Good.
In all fairness, that e-brake has been. I have 145,000 miles on my 2021 Jeep. It's been everywhere. So something breaks on it, not a big deal.
Not a big deal. And we're going to have some specials running as well, not just for AutoStream, but maybe my name will be good elsewhere throughout this spring and
Watch
summer.
out now.
Hey, now, maybe we can get some giveaway actions for people. Why'd your face just move around so much?
I didn't realize. I think Alejandro Kirk, he's now having surgery on his hand, so he's gonna be out for a while. Schneider just broke that news.
That is brutal.
Yeah, he's
for
on the
Jays.
IL with a thumb dislocation and fracture. That's not.
Ooh, that ain't good. That was a foul ball off the hand. Damn, man, that's
sucks.
tough. The Jays they're in the jackpot now. They are.
Their ass is in the jackpot.
Their ass is in
Gotta
the
give him a
jackpot now.
chance.
Still
Almost
don't
gotta
know
give him a
exactly.
chance.
Yeah, you got to give him a
Hey,
chance.
Cedric Mullins hitting nukes in the Trop today.
No way.
Did he?
He
Yep.
just went yard.
Yep.
Hell yeah, baby! It's Cedric Mullins again. He's back.
Hey, way to do it in the second inning and not the first, though. That's big.
Did
No
you-
runs first inning.
Okay, that's why.
It was a
Exactly
2-run shot to tie it. Chandler Simpson on base because, of course, he was. Have you seen his every single hit from Chandler Simpson this year? That
No.
compilation,
No.
and 80% of them don't leave the infield. He just beats it all. Beats every single one of them out.
That's
Regular ground ball. Guy's a menace.
I mean, said he making history. Is that actually the first home run since being back in the Trop?
Yeah, that's the first home run in the Trop since everything.
There you go.
Cedric Mullins. Write that down in history. Where were you when that happened? Where were you when Cedric
here.
Mullins welcomed people back to the Trop?
Right
You're right here at the Ryan Ripken Show. Well, Cedric Mullins and the Rays are down there at the Trop. The Orioles are in Chicago for a 3-game set. And we got a chance to talk to former Oriole and former Red and former Philly and now current White Sox, Austin Hayes. So Hayes, you got to catch up with him. And for the background, I got to know Hayes. I played against Hayes in the minor leagues when I was with the Nats. Got to know Hayes while I was with the Orioles organization. Played with him as well when he was back on rehab assignments, and it was good catching up with him. We got, also friends and teammates intertwined. So Hayes, was generous enough to spend some time this morning to catch up because he had to go to the field later. And Zach, we had that clip ready. So in this case, had to ask the first question about how is Hayes with his batting gloves? Is he still no BG Hayes? And then what can you expect from these White Sox? So let's play that clip from you.
Still no gloves, right? You haven't changed.
Yeah, no BGs. The guys, that's what Benny was saying. He's like, yeah, we're going to see if you're a no BGs guy when we get to Chicago. He's like, that cold is different there. So first series, it was a little chilly, the wind was tough, but these games against the Orioles, I think the low is like 27 on Tuesday. So we're gonna find out if I'm a real no BGs guy or not over these next couple days, because it'll be night game. I don't think it'll be in the 20s during the game, probably be in the 30s, but it'd be chilly.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I've known with you is just you just rip it, no BGs. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, you're just a crazy son of a gun to do it. I mean, you're not the first person to do it, but you are one of the few that actually do it in this day and age.
Yeah, there's
How
not
do you?
many left. There's not
Yeah,
many left now.
it's a dying breed. How do you psych yourself out then when it gets so damn cold?
I don't know. I think everybody's hands are just as cold. Like even with the BGs on, I think it's just a perspective thing. Like I don't think that thin little tiny leather that's that big that you put on and they're frozen in your back pocket and you stick them on your hands. I don't think they're making your hands that much warmer, you know? Santander used to always crack me up with like he'd go to the cage and he'd hit with those big giant, like the wool gloves. They're not batting gloves. But he's in there and he's hitting with those. I'm like, come on, man. You don't need those.
For those that don't follow the White Sox, and for those that might be just seeing maybe reports on what your season should or shouldn't be, what should people know about Chicago so far as you guys are gearing up here? Coming off a series, man, where AL East foe with the Jays, you guys had one heck of a time getting a sweep on them.
Yeah, we got some really good starting pitching. We used Grant Taylor as an opener. That was tough on the Jays, trying to hit 101 miles an hour runners in the first inning right off jump. So back-to-back days, he went 1, 2, 3 in the first. That was kind of electric to watch. And then we got some really strong starts all series. Sir Anthony Dominguez is real. I mean, he's a solid closer. He's been a big arm in this league for a long time. So the back end of the bullpen is pretty solidified. And then from the offensive standpoint, us going out and signing Murakami, like we got one of the best power bats in all the big leagues in the middle of our lineup. He's showed it right away too. It was electric. His first 3 games, just hit 3 no-doubters. He's got 4 pumps now. He went into the wind, like no doubter, dead center in Chicago. Like people know that place, it plays big to center, especially when it's cold and the wind's blowing in. And he just went through it like it was nothing. So that power is, I mean, it's real to watch. And we just got a bunch of young, like kind of gritty, blue collar ball players. You know, it's like a win at all costs lineup, which I just felt like that's how we were in 23 in Baltimore when we like really turned it around. We had some power. We had the young studs that like really took their career to the next level. But then the rest of the lineup, it was just like a bunch of blue collar, like relentless, get after it kind of guys. And we would just always find a way to win. If it was a shootout, we'd score 9. When we had the pitching and the offense just wasn't going, we'd find a way to get 2 or 3, you know, just scratch some off. I can see that in this team and in this lineup. So I'm really excited, man. I think we have all the right pieces. It's just a matter of building the chemistry and going out there and playing some good ball together.
So Hayes was in a good mood, good spirits. It's going to be cold, and actually the Orioles moved that night game tomorrow to the day because of the elements that's going to be out there.
Yeah.
But the bigger thing is when he's saying it's got the feel of just go up and show up to work, the White Sox have that luxury. No one's expecting the White Sox to make the noise this year. They don't. So when you have that, that's a dangerous team to play, especially when you're coming off sweeping the AL champs from last year. You go, hey, screw it, man. Why don't we just run this back? It's cold. They're coming to our place. This ain't going to be an easy series for the Orioles. So I want to point that out. It ain't going to be easy, especially with a team like that. Now, I'm glad he brought up Murakami because, yeah, we mentioned it. Dude has the juice. The dude's comfortable. He's playing with confidence. And when a young player that's coming over to the U.S. to play in the best baseball league in the world, yeah, you could have some nervous energy, but once you find out off the jump that you can do it, man, that's only going to build
Oh, yeah.
for him as he goes. So will be interesting to see. I am really curious with Austin Hayes hitting the ball. If it doesn't hit the right part of the barrel, it's going to suck for all hitters tonight and tomorrow. I don't even care if it's a day game. It is going to suck. That is not fun baseball weather.
Dude, just like when the baseball hits the bat and it's 30 degrees, there's just like, it's an indescribable pain that just goes up the arms. It just starts in the hands. It's like this stinging in the hands.
And it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like even you get a rip with it, like you're standing on first base and you're just like grabbing your
Yes.
hands. You're just like, okay, nothing feels good about this.
Dude, it is. I've played in my fair share of cold weather games. And I consider cold weather for baseball anything that's 50 or below. It sucks if you don't hit it on the right part of the bat.
Yeah,
now
if you don't barrel it up, it's terrible.
And then you bring it down to 40. It's one of the most miserable experiences. I played in Hagerstown. It was the year that Mountie hit the grand slam in his eyes and SETI. I hit a ball off the end of the bat, and my hands were ringing.
Yeah,
for 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah,
and then they kept ringing because then I didn't square up the next ball. And then your hands are just sawed off. They are numb, but it's also numb and then just this constant pain and sensation. So I'll be curious to see. But for the Orioles, White Sox, they kick off tonight. And then after the series, they'll come back to Baltimore on Friday to take on the San Fran Giants at Camden Yards on Friday night. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. Do this live Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And that interview with Austin Hayes we'll have out later for all of you to see because he had a lot of great moments of his Baltimore time. And I think a lot of Orioles fans, you'll love to hear that, as well as the journey from Hayes' perspective over going from a place where that's all he knew to adjusting to the next stages and beyond. So appreciate him. Appreciate all of you. Now, not a lot of football news overall, except if you are watching the UFL, by the way, and we do have an interview after the show for tomorrow. The UFL was humming. The DC Defenders down the road. Do you guys remember a guy named Deion Jackson, Zach?
Oh, yeah.
So Deion Jackson, Brad, ring a bell at all?
Yep.
Really count?
Yep.
So Deion Jackson had to start for the Colts back when Jonathan Taylor got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Then their backup got hurt, and then Deion Jackson had to be thrusted into the role. And if you were a fantasy guru like myself, you would have started him. And Deion Jackson, I remember, had 42 rushing yards, I believe, a touchdown, and then 10 catches for 79 yards. And I remember people were so pissed off that I picked him up. Well, Deion Jackson just had 12 touches, 126 yards, and 3 touchdowns on Friday night for the DC Defenders as they just absolutely destroyed the football team up there in Columbus. So we're going to talk to Deion Jackson. We might have some other tricks up our sleeve, but on this Saturday, the DC Defenders are making their home opener. And if you're a music fan, Wale is going to be performing at halftime of the opener this weekend, guys. How about that?
Sweet.
And later on in the year, there's a team named the Louisville Kings that are coming to DC. And why does that matter? Well, that whole coaching staff are former Ravens. Chris Redmond, Chris McAllister, Jamie Sharper, Brad Jackson, just name a few, are all on that team. So I'm excited to see what that will look like. And at the bottom here, the UFL is back. And if you want tickets, go to theufl.com or go to Ticketmaster to get your tickets now. Now, football in the NFL is not back yet, but OTAs is back. And guys, some people can't believe it. They can't believe that a certain player would show up in the building.
Interesting.
They said he wouldn't do it. They said he couldn't do it.
They said he didn't do it. They claimed he didn't do it. They actually went so far as to just claim that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
While he was doing
just
it.
leave this in, Zach. Just do it.
So Lamar Jackson showed up today for voluntary workouts, which was made just a massive, massive, massive deal over the past few weeks.
I can't believe this is news.
Yes, exactly. Is Lamar coming to voluntary workouts? Is he not? It got to the point where they were asking Jesse Minter last week at the GM and coaches meetings. They're like, hey, do you expect Lamar there? And he literally said, he's like, we'll see who shows up on April 6th. We will see it. And the storyline, and I'll call it that the agenda pushing got so bad that this morning, we'll roll right into this. Get Up actually held a full segment about how well Lamar didn't show up. The only issue is, well, we'll get into that after. So here is the original segment.
Yeah, this is the start of the second act. This is the start of what should be Lamar's prime. And I'm not going to overreact to him not being there. Maybe he gets there in the next day or two, but it certainly sounds like that's not going to be the case. And the reality for Lamar and the Ravens is this is the first time it's new for Lamar in the NFL. He's had relatively the same staff in place for the majority of his career, certainly when it comes to the head coaching position. Now, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new staff. And also, you're coming off of the first time that you were a starter in the NFL where you had a losing record. Lamar started 13 games last year. He was 6-7 as the starter. Now, there's some games, injury, all that, but it's the first time. And so there's a little bit of what we're coming off of a wildly unsuccessful season when it comes to our standards in Baltimore. And now we have a completely new regime. Yeah, I would absolutely want Lamar Jackson there leading the way, saying this is my second act. The first act was sensational. MVP, two-time MVP, and some significant success. This is supposed to be the start of something new and that next step. I'm not going to react to him not being there because we'll give him some time, but I want him there.
I think there's also
So you might be thinking, well, okay, and if you looked in, it was a little tough here, but if you look at, for you guys, the left corner, the time on Get Up was 8:19 a.m. when that was played. 8:19 a.m. This isn't midday. This isn't late in the day. This is smack in the beginning of the morning. So at 8:19 a.m., they talked about how big of a deal is it that Lamar isn't at these voluntary practices. And at 8:24 a.m., here came the haymaker of all haymakers by the Baltimore Ravens, posting Lamar Jackson walking into the practice field.
Loving Jesus.
Loving Jesus, loving showing up to voluntary practice. And listen, I get it. That was the storyline. Was Lamar Jackson, was he going to show up or not? And I get it. I thought it was a pretty big deal as well. Like, hey, I would like Lamar Jackson to show up.
Yeah.
If they would have started the morning with, hey, this is a big day, we're going to see if Lamar shows up, it would have been, okay, we're really pushing this story, but I get it. It's a big deal. At 8:19 a.m. to go out and proclaim, well, maybe he shows up in a few days. We know he's not there today. I doubt he shows up later. While he is in the,
he's in the car.
Yeah,
he's on his way there.
Live streamed at 8:24. This took time. Film, go back, send it to someone, edit it real fast, put out the tweet, make sure everything's out. At 8:19, Lamar was already in this building. He was already in this building. So I don't know what the sources were saying of, hey, Lamar's not in there, because I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that somebody told him he wasn't showing up, because to have a full story of Lamar didn't show up and that's disappointing while he's in the building, we gotta be better.
You know, there was, they kept things close to the vest. They just want to see what would happen. And I hate that it's a storyline, but of course, it's been talked about all off season. And Lamar Jackson, if you're a Ravens fan or you just follow the NFL, who is one of the quarterbacks that's constantly under, criticism or being watched, it's Lamar. And whether the criticism is fair or unfair, he's talked about. And at some points, if you want to talk about play on the field and how things go or how things went, like that could even be justifiable. But in this case, if you want to talk about all the things he's done on the field, still historically has one of the best 9 years in the league in NFL history for a regular season.
Yes.
Throw out that for the Ravens and for their postseason shortcomings, which are documented. But to talk about his commitment to the team, that to me is always a wild thing to go with. And in this case, honestly, waiting an extra day to see if he actually showed up on day one would have solved a lot of problems.
Wait until the workouts are happening. Yeah. Wait until he's out at the workouts.
I would wait a day. I'd wait two. Hell, I'd wait to run the story until OTAs was over if he didn't show up.
I mean, shit, at least just wait till lunchtime.
Yeah.
You could have waited till lunchtime and be like, oh, hey, Lamar's there, blah, blah, blah. Like that.
You could have had the whole morning be the buildup of, hey, we're seeing which guys are showing up to these games.
Exactly.
And then it would have been great. Why are we saying?
And I understand, right? It's a talking point because Lamar is a talking point.
Yeah.
He's a talking point. But at this juncture, now what do you talk about?
I can tell you what they did. They talked about, will Lamar stay? Because it wasn't good enough that he showed up.
Yeah.
The talking point became, well, he's probably not going to be there the whole time. Why? And yeah, I mean, this whole.
I just can't believe this. It still shocks me that this is news every year.
And then I will say, and Brad, we talked about this before the show. I don't even think the most egregious part is that they just went out and blatantly assumed Lamar wasn't showing up. Then once they were proven wrong, there was no backtrack. They deleted that video. I had to get that video from Awful Announcing, who caught it early enough because every other video is wiped from the internet.
They scrubbed it.
They scrubbed it. The only other recording I could find besides that from Awful Announcing were people filming their television.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
And look, at the end of the day, it's all good. Like it's everything's fine. But this is also why on days, and I know you're searching for some more content in the off season. If a guy doesn't show up or not, I still would wait to see if he shows up or not. I wouldn't wait 20 minutes. I wouldn't wait an hour. I would wait. The next day can be your content for it. But am I happy Lamar Jackson's there? Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I'm happy he's there. Would I have done a story if he didn't show up on day one? No, I wouldn't have done a story because you know what? To me, that isn't story-like because the part now, what I want people to focus on is he did show up. And whether he stays for 2 days, 3 days, or just that one, he showed up. You know who also was there? Trey Hendrickson was there as well, going through drills.
Hey.
It's great.
Yeah, it is great.
It's
you know
fantastic.
who's been there all off season working out from 9 to 12?
The pulse of the team.
The ghost of this studio.
The ghost of
Nicholas Robert Moore.
Yeah.
He's been there working out. He's been telling me. So he was there before Lamar. I don't know why that's not news.
He was. And he's coming.
Dedication, being there all off season.
He's coming a little banged up, and he's still showing up.
Not that kind of banged up.
Not that type of banged up. He's a good kid though.
Yeah.
He's a good kid.
He's not banged up.
He's not hurt.
Yeah.
He's just tired.
Yeah. Not injured. We don't even be breaking that news.
No. Except on that, well, he did break his own news on the show here when I was on the train.
He did do that, yes.
Yeah. Found that out later on. He's fine. He's a good kid. But maybe we'll get the ghost of Nick Moore to join us here, Nicholas Robert, to join us here this week to talk about OTAs.
Yeah.
Maybe he can say about what he's seen from the new coaching staff and what's been going on. And how about that? Was it news to him that players showed up to OTAs? Well, we'll find out. It's a crazy concept. Yeah. Do you mean long snapper contract extender, Nick Moore? Yes.
When I was over there dropping magazines off to me, I was telling him, I was like, all hell broke loose when you signed that extension.
Yeah.
Still had a head coach at that time. There's a lot of good things that were still happening, and then it all went to shit.
We're not saying it's your fault.
As soon as he broke that news.
We're not saying it's your fault.
He actually did see Max Crosby.
He did.
Yeah.
That morning. That'll be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
At some point. Because Max was in the building.
He was there. Can confirm.
Can confirm.
Sources tell us.
Sources can confirm that the Ravens had an agreement in place for Max Crosby, and Max did come to Baltimore.
Yeah, was at the facility.
Was at the facility. But that's really the only news. As we get closer to the draft, we will still talk about what's happening for the Ravens upcoming. We will have Ravens guests upcoming as we get going during this baseball season, but that's really the only thing we wanted to talk about. And the story is another story getting the story wrong. Right?
Yes, yes.
That's essentially what it was, right?
Yeah.
One story was wrong, so we're telling the right story about a wrong story of the actual story.
Yep.
That's fun. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Well, guys, new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. What do we have tomorrow? We have another show. The Orioles are moving up their game.
210.
We might have some guests.
Wait, do you have pregame tomorrow?
I don't anymore because they moved it to the daytime.
Oh, okay.
So they're booting me off the BBT for the night.
All right.
So we'll just be
Well, because it's not
You have it
BBT.
today?
No.
no,
Mondays.
no.
No Mondays.
Mike Bordick's on it. No, me and Bordy.
40.
We go back and forth there.
Reliable.
That's
Guess
all
it
I
would
got.
make it BBT, I guess.
Can we get
Baltimore
Bordy in the
baseball
field?
tonight.
It would be BBD. And that doesn't. that's not
Baltimore
a thing.
baseball today.
That'd
It would still be
Still
BBT.
be BBT. Yeah, you're right.
There
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go. We're working on it. And again, from one stream to another, go to AutoStream Car Care Center. $50 off when you mention Ryan Ripken. Any service, if you got issues, my name is good for something. They got 10 locations and expanding. Appreciate our friends over at AutoStream. And tomorrow, you will see that interview with Deion Jackson from the UFL and the DC Defenders, because we're going to be talking to him in a little bit, and we'll get back to you.
You know,
Anything I'm missing? Zach, do you want any final words?
lineups out.
Why is tonight's game at 9:00? That's all I got. Once again. I'll end it the same way I started. In no way should we be tipping off at 8:50. And if that's even actually, let me check the betting sites right now.
I gotta be honest with you. I will not be watching that game.
UConn or Michigan's the champion when you wake up then, Brad.
UConn.
Okay.
No, it's not even when I wake up. I'll be awake. I would just be watching Shrinking because I'd rather watch that than. Have you seen that show?
No.
Gotta watch it. It's hilarious.
Michigan wins it all tonight. But
All
I
right.
kind of I will say I am, I guess, conflicted because I have a future on Michigan, have Michigan in my bracket to win, but I also love Dan Hurley and UConn. And I
Listen,
didn't think
UConn's a buzzsaw that nobody's stopping.
it just, and I will say the spread, I think it's 6.5, 7.5, depending on where you get it. Find it hard to believe Dan Hurley gets blown out.
UConn was also the underdog in the Illinois game.
Which
and-
was the freest money of all time. UConn was not losing to Illinois.
So you won that one.
Yeah.
Happy for you, man.
Thank you.
There
Hey,
you
good
go.
job.
Maybe
Good.
Bolly's Bets will be back soon for the season.
Hint, hint.
Stay tuned. All right. Well, let's hit that music. Cue it.
Bam, bam, bam.
Don't cut it off earlier. As always, here at the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great singing rest of your Monday. Enjoy the national championship. Enjoy the rest of your night and come back and join us tomorrow because Ryan Ripken Show will be live Monday through Friday, 3 to 5, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Say goodbye, Nicholas Robert.
Goodbye, Nicholas Robert.
There he is. Good kid. We'll see him one day.